All right, let's talk about a problem that pretty much every dungeon master runs into. You want to run a cool mystery, but your players have magic that can just solve it. How do you deal with that? Well, that's what we're diving into today. So let's just ask it straight up. Why do so many of our D&D investigations just seem to fall flat? You know the feeling, right? You spend hours setting up all these intricate clues and red herrings, and then poof, it's all over in 10 minutes because of one spell. It's super frustrating, but the reason it happens might not be what you think.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The real problem usually isn't that your players are bad detectives. Not at all. It's that spells like Detect Magic or Speak with Dead can feel less like tools for investigation and more like cheat codes. They just shortcut the entire process.
And that leads us to what is probably the single biggest mistake we make as DMs. We turn investigation into confirmation. We let those spells become simple answer keys. Let's look at how that actually plays out at the table.
Okay, so look at this. This slide pinpoints the exact moment a mystery can die. A player casts Detect Magic. In the all-too-common scenario, the DM just goes, "Yep, there's necromancy here." And that's it. Case closed. But with this arcane forensics approach, the answer immediately explodes into more questions. Necromancy where, exactly? Does it feel like it's fading, or is it fresh? Is it a lingering echo, or is something still active? See? The spell isn't the solution anymore. It's the start of a whole new investigation.
So how do we fix this? Well, the solution is all about a new mindset. We're going to start treating magic not as an answer key, but like evidence at a crime scene. We're calling this arcane forensics. And the best part? You don't need any new rules. It's just about changing how you think about magic.
And the definition is actually super simple, but it's really powerful. Arcane forensics is just the practice of treating magic not as the final word, the conclusion, but as a piece of evidence, something that has to be collected, analyzed, and interpreted just like you would a bloody knife or a footprint.
And you can see how intuitive this is when you put it side by side. Mundane forensics asks those basic questions. What happened here? When did it happen? Arcane forensics just applies that exact same logic to magic. What kind of spell was it? How recently was it cast? And this is a big one. Could it have been staged? What about this scene doesn't add up? Suddenly, magic provides context, not a simple solution. Now, this whole approach, this entire way of thinking, is built on one simple core principle that really changes everything.
And here it is. It's so simple. Magic always leaves fingerprints. It's never a perfectly clean act. It leaves residue, echoes, little traces on the world. And once you and your players really buy into that idea, the whole game of investigation changes.
So what do these fingerprints even look like? Well, maybe a spell's aura fades unevenly. It's stronger in one corner of the room than another. Or maybe a big ritual leaves behind these perfect geometric patterns, while a desperate improvised spell leaves a chaotic, messy splash of energy. The best clues, though, are the inconsistencies, the magical effects that just don't quite match up with the story you're being told.
Okay, so that's the theory, but how do we actually use this at the table? Let's get into the practical side of things, the DM's toolkit, and look at how we can reframe some of those classic mystery killer spells.
Let's start with the big one, Detect Magic. The old way is just confirmation. You detect illusion magic. Boring. The new way turns that into a puzzle. You feel 3 distinct magical signatures here. They're layered at different strengths, and one of them feels like it's fading really fast. Now the players have to wonder, which one is important? Why are there 3? Who layered them? The spell is now a clue, not the whole answer.
And you can apply the exact same logic to a spell like Identify. Instead of just revealing the item's ultimate purpose, what it was made to hide, it should reveal how it was made, what school of magic was used, how long is the duration, and maybe most importantly, what's the quality of the work? A sloppy, poorly crafted enchantment tells a fascinating story, just not the end.
And what about the Arcana skill? This is so important. Arcana isn't for finding clues on its own. That's what your investigation skill is for. No, Arcana is for interpreting the magical clues you've already found. It lets a smart character look at the evidence and say, wait a minute, this glyph was triggered too early, or this enchantment is fighting with the natural magic of this place. It rewards that player's knowledge without skipping the fun part of discovery.
So when you start putting all these pieces together, you can create mysteries that are just so much richer. The goal isn't just to find out what happened anymore.
Now it's about untangling contradictions and maybe even intentional lies.
This whole approach really shines when the magic itself seems to be lying to the players, when the clues they find just don't add up, and it creates this paradox that they absolutely have to solve.
Let me give you a perfect example. The paradox of the sealed door. Using these new forensic techniques, your players gather two key pieces of evidence. One, this door was magically sealed shut from the inside. Okay. But then, two, they find physical evidence that the door was smashed open before that magical seal was put in place. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. That's a paradox.
And this is amazing because it forces your players to stop asking what happened and start asking a much more interesting question. Why does the magic lie? Who would do this? Who would stage a crime scene to look like this, and what are they trying to cover up? Now that is a real investigation.
Because at the end of the day, Arcane Forensics isn't about nerfing magic. It's not about stopping your players. It's about changing the quality of the answers they get. Because when your spells start raising better questions instead of just giving away easy answers, your investigations are going to stop stalling out. And the solutions your players finally put together, man, they are going to feel so incredibly earned.